Esther Mensah, a 38-year-old entrepreneur, once ruled the textile markets of Accra. Her vibrant designs adorned the elite, her name synonymous with success. She owned a sprawling compound in a wealthy Ghanaian village, complete with manicured gardens and imported cars. Her husband, Kwame, a charming man with a sharp tongue, basked in her glory. But a tragic accident changed everything. While driving home from a business deal in Kumasi, Esther's car veered off a rain-soaked road, crashing into a ditch. She survived, but the doctor's words were a blow: "You're paralyzed from the waist down." Kwame wept at her bedside, promising eternal devotion. But as weeks turned to months, his warmth faded. He began staying out late, flaunting his new lifestyle on social media, while Esther, confined to a wheelchair, felt her world shrink. "I didn't marry to be your caretaker," he snapped one evening when she asked him to stay. "Get a maid, or I'm gone." Desperate, Esther agreed to hire help. A job advert went out for a live-in maid to cook, clean, and assist with care. That's when Kofi entered their lives. Kofi, a 24-year-old orphan, stood at the gates of Esther's compound, clutching a worn duffel bag. Raised in foster homes across rural Ghana, he had known hardship: parents lost to a market fire at age 6, shuffled between uncaring relatives, some kind, others cruel. Yet, Kofi carried a quiet strength, fueled by faith and a hope for better days. The maid job was a lifeline, a chance to escape poverty. A stern guard led him inside. The compound dazzled: palm trees, a tiled courtyard, and a house that gleamed like a palace. But beneath the opulence, Kofi sensed a chill, a hollowness. Inside, the air smelled of polished wood and wealth, but sadness lingered. The guard warned, "Don't speak unless spoken to. She doesn't like noise." In Esther's room, Kofi found her in a wheelchair, her face pale, her once vibrant eyes dim. She wore a simple wrapper, her hair unstyled, yet her presence commanded respect. "You're not a nurse," Esther said, her voice flat. "No, ma'am," Kofi replied softly. "I'm here to clean, cook, and help." She studied him. "Are you scared of me?" Kofi met her gaze. "No, ma'am. I've seen pain. You don't scare me." A faint smile crossed Esther's lips, the first in months. "You'll stay in the back room. Keep the house spotless, meals on time. And don't touch what's not yours." Kofi nodded, sensing the weight of her unspoken grief. That evening, Kofi prepared jollof rice and egusi stew, the aroma filling the kitchen. Kwame lounged in the living room, scrolling through his phone, dressed in a tailored suit. His eyes flicked to Kofi with disdain. "You're the new boy," he sneered. "Yes, sir," Kofi replied. Kwame laughed coldly. "Don't get ideas. My wife's crippled, not desperate." Kofi swallowed the insult and served Esther's meal. She took a bite, paused, and said, "This is good." Kofi smiled. "Thank you, Mom." Later, as Kofi cleaned, he saw Kwame slip out at midnight, dressed for a nightclub. At dawn, Kwame returned, reeking of alcohol, his shirt untucked. He didn't notice Kofi sweeping the corridor but snapped when he did. "What are you staring at, village boy?" Kofi lowered his eyes. "Good morning, sir." Kwame stormed off. Kofi's heart sank. This home was a prison for Esther. Days passed, and Kofi's kindness began to pierce Esther's despair. One morning, he suggested, "Mom, some fresh air might lift your spirits." Hesitant, Esther agreed. Kofi wheeled her to the garden, where the scent of frangipani and the chirping of birds softened her heart. They talked, not of pain, but of simple things, the sky, village markets, dreams. "You speak like a scholar," Esther said. Kofi grinned. "I never finish school, but I read whatever I find. Books kept me sane." For the first time, Esther laughed. But Kwame's cruelty escalated. One evening, he stormed into Esther's room while Kofi was nearby. "You're useless now," Kwame spat. "I married a queen, not a burden." Esther's voice trembled. "You promised to stay." Kwame laughed bitterly. "Stay? For what? A woman who can't walk." "I'm living my life, Esther." "You're lucky I haven't left yet." Kofi, overhearing, felt his chest tighten. He wanted to speak but held back, knowing his place. One afternoon, while running errands, Kofi overheard women at a market stall. "Kwame Mensah was at the club again," one said. "With that woman, Adwoa. They say his wife's paralyzed." Kofi's suspicions grew. Back at the compound, he noticed Kwame's late-night exits, always in a sleek car driven by a woman with braided hair. He hesitated but decided to tell Esther. That night, Kofi showed her the CCTV footage from the compound's security system. There was Kwame, kissing a woman, Adwoa, in the car. Esther's face hardened. "Thank you, Kofi," she said, her voice steady but pained. Alone, she stared at the screen, her heart breaking. Kwame had abandoned her, not just in body but in soul. The next day, Kwame called Kofi to the living room. Smiling falsely, he said, "Kofi, you're a smart boy. How about I sponsor you to study abroad? A mechanics course, maybe." Kofi, wary, replied, "That's kind, sir, but why?" Kwame's smile faded. He handed Kofi a small packet. "Put this in Esther's food. It'll help her sleep better." Kofi frowned. "Why not give it to her yourself?" Kwame's eyes flashed. "Do it, or you're finished. I'll make sure you never work again." Kofi took the packet, his hands shaking, and left. In his room, Kofi stared at the powder. It felt wrong. He hid it in his bag and prayed for guidance. The next morning, he told Esther everything, handing her the packet. "He said it's for sleep, but I don't trust him." Esther's eyes narrowed. She sent the packet to a lab through a trusted friend. The results came back. It was a slow-acting poison, meant to weaken her over time. Unknown to Esther, Kwame and Adwoa plotted retaliation. That night, two masked men crept toward the compound, hired by Kwame to attack Esther and Kofi. But Esther's security system, upgraded after the poison discovery, caught them. Alarms blared, and village security guards apprehended the intruders. One confessed, naming Kwame and Adwoa as their employers. In court, Kwame and Adwoa faced charges of conspiracy and attempted murder. Evidence, CCTV footage, lab reports, and the hired men's testimony sealed their fate. Kwame was sentenced to 12 years, Adwoa to 10. Esther, watching from her wheelchair, felt a weight lift. Kofi squeezed her hand, his presence her anchor. Months later, the compound bloomed with new life. Esther, working with a therapist, began regaining strength, her spirit renewed. One evening, in the garden, Kofi knelt before her, holding a simple silver ring. "Esther Mensah, you gave me purpose when I had none. Will you marry me? Tears in her eyes, Esther nodded. Yes, Kofi. I love you. To everyone's astonishment, Esther revealed she'd been regaining mobility in secret, testing Kwame's loyalty. She stood, shakily, and embraced Kofi. Weeks later, they married in the garden, surrounded by friends and vibrant flowers. From a broken entrepreneur to a woman reborn, Esther found love in Kofi's kindness, and together, they built a future rooted in truth.